All right, so do we want to dive into a d4 opening?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we can
Maybe
probably aim to cover.
last...
Yeah, this will be the last one.
Okay.
Yes. So, okay. So we want to look at the Queen's Gambit, the Ratty. What do we want to look at?
Yeah, your favorite, something which is like your pet line.
Okay, so I am actually a Nimzo player trying to
Okay.
switch into the Grunfeld.
Oh, nice. Let's look at Grunfeld.
Oh no, that's too much. I learned that like last week. I learned that like 2 weeks ago. I can't do the Grunfeld. I can't do the
Okay,
Grunfeld.
but whatever you learned, you can teach. Because you know the Grunfeld, I mean, I'm also a Nimzo player. And I've always tried to think about Grunfeld, and it's super complicated. I mean, it's very active. You give up the center to white. It's never easy. You play that.
For sure. It's definitely very difficult to play the Grunfeld. I think the Grunfeld is like the ultimate test of how much opening theory you can know. Because the Grunfeld is definitely one of the most intense openings ever. So yeah, I mean, after d4, we can take a quick look at, let's take a look at d5.
Whatever you like.
d5,
Okay,
let's take a look at d5. d5 is keeping it simple. I think Queen's Gambit is simple enough.
Yes.
And like, it's an opening that you should not be messing up. So if you're messing up the Queen's Gambit, I have a lot of respect for you because it's quite difficult to mess it up. So white plays c4. And would you take on c4?
No.
No.
I don't like it. I mean, it's a respected opening, the Queen's Gambit accepted, but I just don't like giving up the center.
Exactly. Giving up the center goes against all of our chess principles. Some people do like taking that extra pawn though. So, you know, if you're somebody who prefers to like just play up a pawn and have a really terrible center, sure. But that is not recommended. So let's not look into d takes c4. I do not want anybody playing that here. Instead, we just play e6. e6, very, very easy move, right?
Right.
We're just controlling the center. And after knight to c3, white's just putting more pressure, and then you can play knight to f6. Logical moves. White plays knight to f3. This is the Queen's Gambit decline. You can actually go into the Slav, or the semi-Slav, actually, sorry, with c6. This is quite possibly one of the most solid openings in all of chess. But once again, it's a little bit too passive for my own taste. So let's...
Really?
Yeah, it's a little too passive for my own taste. Do you play the semi-Slav?
It's too crazy. I mean,
really?
It's one of the most aggressive systems because this you remember this Anand Kramnik match? Maybe you were very young at that point.
I don't think I was playing chess at that point.
it was in 2008, and Vishy played this with black. And he used to keep his king in the center, and he won that match. And it was like this semi-Slav.
Okay, you have to show me that game. You have to send me that game because now you got me intrigued about the semi-Slav. Because I mean,
it's one of the most aggressive systems because you know you take on like there are if after c6 white plays bishop g5, then after dc4 you go into these. Extremely common, the Botvinnik system.
Right. Okay. I never played the dc4. I just play h6 and bishop e7. So I guess it's the line choice, right? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's what I'm missing from the semi-Slav. Then my life has never been like fulfilled. I always assumed it was like a very dry opening, but now that you've told me about all these options, like, wow, I actually have to try the semi-Slav again at some point. I mean, I've always been a Queen's Gambit decline player, so I actually never played the Slav.
You play the QGD.
I play the Queen's Gambit decline.
But I find your repertoire to be very how can I put it? Like you are an aggressive player, right? And then you play like the Rui Lopez, which is kind of positional.
Well, the
then
Rui Lopez can be aggressive if you start.
It can be. As you said, d5, g4, and all of that.
Exactly.
But then to play Queen's Gambit declined with black.
You'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised because you sometimes get in these isolated pawns or hanging pawn structures. I mean, my main opening is actually the Nimzo. So the Nimzo is also very solid, right? But like,
yes, it's also positional.
Yeah, it's also very positional. But I think it's just, I like setting it up so that I can attack later. I don't like coming out of the opening attacking. Does that kind of make sense? Like maybe it's a pretty unique kind of way to treat the game, but I like solid openings and then I like to attack. So I'm trying to like find the best of both worlds.
So basically you're going to show certain positions or something where even in spite of playing the solid Queen's Gambit decline, you can get kind of active positions.
I actually only know this for white. I'm not like I haven't played.
Okay.
Yeah. I mostly just know this for white. Because I've actually played d4 as white as well, and those positions are pretty interesting as well. But here I think you know, after bishop to b4, it can actually get super exciting pretty quickly. So bishop to
You mean after knight f3?
Wait, so knight to f3, yeah, knight to f3, bishop to g4, bishop to g5. This is just the main Queen's Gambit lines. There is king short castle, e3, c5, for example, and you can play c5 or you can play knight to d7. All of these lines are possible. After knight to d7, usually they can just take on d5, and after e takes d5, bishop to d3, you at some point play either... I like to play c6, some people play c5, but I don't really want the isolated pawn structure. The isolated pawn structure is the line that I was talking about a little bit earlier, about how I think white can play it pretty aggressively. So I like to play c6 instead, and this is obviously a very positional line.
You put your bishop on b4 or e7?
b4.
Then maybe this is like you're going into this Ragozin territory, right?
Yeah, it's the Ragozin territory. I play both bishop e7 and bishop b4. This is actually something I'm like not even familiar with anymore, because now when I play bullet, I put my bishop the first place where I think about it. Like I don't even consciously think about where I'm trying to put my bishop or what kind of position I'm getting. I just, oh, do I feel like bishop e7 today? Am I too lazy to, you know, move like 3 extra squares up? Yeah, bishop e7 it is today. Saving a little bit of time on the clock too to make that move. So yeah.
So yeah, bishop b4 I think is very more active than bishop e7, but bishop e7 is more solid.
Yeah, exactly. So bishop b4, and so after bishop to b4, right, we go they play bishop g5, short castle, e3. You can play c5 or knight b to d7. I usually like playing. No, wait. Yeah, you can play into c5, but I usually play knight b to c7. So c takes d5, e takes d5, bishop to d3, and then there's c6 or c5. I don't like c5. I think it gives white a lot of play. So I like playing c6, just keeping things a little bit more solid. And here there is, for example, queen to c2, and this is when you actually have to play h6 because they're attacking your h7 pawn.
This is threatening.
Yeah, this is threatening because the bishop is actually pinning the knight on f6.
Right. So h6, bishop h4.
Yeah, so bishop to h4. White never wants to take the knight, right? You don't want to give up a bishop for a knight. So rook to e8, short castle. Now you can move your bishop back to e7 is pretty solid. Like, yeah, I mean, this is just one of those positions where now white actually plays bishop to g3, because you can also play a move like rook a b1. So in the Queen's Gambit,
no, bishop g3 is a very nice.
Yeah, bishop g3 is a very good idea. And the reason for this is because if you play rook to b1, there's knight to e4 trying to swap off that dark squared bishop. But these are all ideas that like are so obscure. It's such an obscure idea. You just want to get this dark squared bishop off because, I mean, in part you want a really nice knight on e4. And obviously if white takes, then, you know, if they play bishop takes e4, you just play bishop takes h4. Pieces got traded, and then all of a sudden the position is kind of like equal. So usually white plays bishop to g3 to avoid this knight e4 move. You can't play knight e4 now after bishop to g3 because it's just a free pawn. So this becomes a position in which white wants to start a minority attack. Now, minority attacks, I mean, look at this position. Do you think you can attack on the king side? Honestly?
I don't know. Maybe some h3 g4, or you want to play knight e2 knight g3 or something like that.
If you're really crazy, if you're really crazy, maybe you can make it happen. But the correct ideas are definitely to play on the queen side, right? And is minority attack actually the correct word?
Yeah,
it is.
Also,
okay.
I mean the white pawns are looking at the queen side, like f2, e3, d4.
Yes.
So sometimes this works, that whichever side your pawns point, you play towards that side. And if
oh wait, I love this. I've never heard that before.
Because usually when the pawns are pointing in one direction, your most advanced pawn is towards the side where you want to play. So here black plays on the king side and white plays on the queen side. I just also want to add that you could reach this entire position with one tempo less for black, because you played bishop b4 and came back to e7,
right?
And if you would have just put the bishop on e7, then you could have saved a move.
Yeah, this is also true. That's a very good point. So maybe it's actually good for me to just play bishop e7 and go knight f8.
Yeah, I think fourth move you could instead of bishop b, if you're going to play it this way, like as you rightly pointed out, that if you want to go c5 and play it that way, maybe bishop b4 is good. But if you're going to come back, then maybe fourth move bishop e7 looks pretty good.
Yeah, this is a very good point. So let's go back, move 4 bishop to e7. There's going to be bishop same things happen, right? Bishop to g7, knight to d7. Wait, you can castle here first. Castle, castle. C takes d5 or e3 probably. Knight to d7. C takes d5. E takes d5. Bishop to d3. c6. Queen to c2, and then you go h6. Bishop to h4. Castle. Oh, sorry, rook e8. Castle. And now there is actually knight e4.
Yeah.
So there is actually knight e4 now. You can also go knight to f8, which is the line I actually play more. Because the idea is you just want to put your knight on e6 or something. Potentially push c5. Okay, so here there is knight to e4, bishop takes e4. This is actually a really interesting line. I mean, this is like kind of committal because you're being like, okay, I don't want to play this game at all. I just want to exchange pieces. So I don't think it's a good line if you're trying to win. So let's go with knight f8 instead. We always try to play for a win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to do g5 knight g6.
Oh my god, that is just...
It won't work, yeah.
Of course. That's exactly... I mean, if this was the Spanish... If I just had one more pawn, I think I would have done it. But unfortunately, I don't have a pawn on e4 or anything, so the center is a little bit too open to go for those kind of ideas. Okay, so there will be rook a to c1, rook a to b1. I mean, there's so much.
b1. I think rook b1 makes a lot of sense now, and with the idea of b4, b5, this minority attack is very powerful.
Yep.
Also, I think if black wants to play this knight d7 to f8, it could be wise not to push your pawn to h6, because then if the bishop is on g5 there, let's say on move 9, we could go rook e8 directly,
right,
and then you castle and you can play knight to f8. Because you can then also have ideas of knight e6 hitting the bishop. I mean, you can't do it immediately because there's bishop takes f6 and bishop h7, but let's say knight f8 and he goes, say, rook b1. Then now knight knight e4, there's knight e4. No, knight e4 works, yeah.
Knight e4 works now. Okay, knight e4 works now because if knight takes e4, there is d takes e4, right? Knight
takes e4, d takes e4 wins a pawn. But if you do not, like, if your knight was not on f8 and on the previous move, like on 10th move, if you play knight e4, then it's a mistake because of bishop e4.
Yes, this is true. Okay, because now there's d takes e4. You can't take back on d3 with the threatening the queen. So you actually... Oh, there's knight takes e4 here. Oh, I see.
Yeah, the main point is after bishop e4, if bishop takes g5, you have bishop h7 checked and the knight is not on f8.
Yes, right. This is true. So you have to play knight to f8 to cover this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, these openings, you see, you're so much more knowledgeable about queen pawn openings. These are openings that I'm like stumbling over my moves. Like I can play a series of moves, but you know, you obviously have the understanding.
That's the thing about queen's pawn opening, that even if you understand them very well,
yes,
the best you can get is a small edge. While if you don't know the king's pawn opening so well, it's more sharp and you may lose the game right out of the opening.
This is very true. That's the trade-off for sure. I mean, I think after knight to f8, I play these structures all the time. They always look kind of the same, but they're like little differences. But meanwhile, if you play the dragon and you like have a little difference, you're probably losing the game. So,
right.
Yeah. So here there's rook to b1 maybe, or do you have after knight to f8? What do you recommend to play?
On move 10, right?
11. So after knight f8.
Yeah, knight f8, rook b1, right?
Rook b1, okay.
b1, knight e4, bishop e7, queen e7, and then b4.
Then b4.
And then your idea is to play b5. And okay, it's a very interesting position, and black tries to somehow launch an attack on the king side with knight g6, bishop g4, knight can go to h4 and use all his pieces to attack on the king side, while white will try to play b5, like b5, b4, b takes c6, and so on.
Yeah, I think this is exactly the kind of gameplay I want to go for. Yeah, I mean, this is like when I said I want to play a little bit aggressively in the Queen's Gambit. Maybe this is the line I was actually secretly looking for. This
is like your style, as you said. Like you start positionally, but then you have attacking chances.
Exactly. I think I really like setting up my position so I can go for more. You know, I think that's really important because for me, I'm really bad at just kind of doing. Like, I'm bad, first of all, I'm bad at memorizing openings. And then secondly, I'm bad at defending. So, unfortunately, it's not a good combo, right? Like, I can't play an aggressive opening because I just don't have the ability to do it. But then at the same time, if I'm coming out of the opening and I'm like, I don't have an attack, I also feel bad. So, like, I have to find the perfect time to go for that attack. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm not doing well. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
It's an oddly specific kind of situation for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's like Queen's Gambit is a very solid and very interesting opening. But there's one trap which I wanted to show you. Maybe you are aware of it.
Okay.
So, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6.
Wait, sorry, start at the beginning. d4, d5.
c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6.
Okay.
Bishop g5 and knight d7. Do you know this trap?
No. I'm scared.
Okay, but, if you're white, what would you play here?
I would just play knight to f3 probably.
Oh, you don't want to win a pawn.
Oh, no, wait. C takes d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5 doesn't work because of knight takes d5, bishop takes d8, bishop to b4. I know this one. I know this one. Yes.
You're very sharp.
I do know this one. This one is tactics. Yes. Of course.
So yeah, this is one of the most how do you say first traps that one should know in the Queen's Gambit decline, and I've fallen for it with white.
Ooh, that's painful. Oh no. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I am very well aware of this one. But I appreciate the reminder. I'm sure chat likes the reminder too, because I'm sure none of them are experts in the Queen's Gambit.
The only thing in Queen's Gambit is that after knight c3, knight f6, you have to decide whether your knight on g1 goes to f3 or you want to not do it immediately, and maybe later it could go to e2 as well.
Yeah, so, this is true. You can also do that.
The modern line is like knight many times goes to e2 instead of f3.
Yes, and there are a lot of ideas with pushing on the king side, right?
Yeah. But yeah, This was very, very interesting, and there was so many things. But I think if someone wants to know the basics of most of the openings,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you cover them on your DVD.
Yes, I do. I cover a lot of E4 openings, and then there's like a little segment for D4 openings. I should familiarize myself with D4 openings and then do another part specifically on D4 openings. That would be like my next challenge for myself.
Yeah, that would be cool. And as you said, yeah, you're trying to get into new openings and you're trying to learn new stuff. So guys, if you are keen, you can go and check out these DVDs on openings as well as tactics. uh, I saw the tactics list, and there were like 140 videos. Is that true?
Oh my god, yeah, I went overboard with the tactics one. I started making it, and then I was just like, oh, but there's that tactic, and then I was like, oh, but that's another tactic, and I just wanted to show everything, and then they were like, okay, look, it's fine. It's okay. We can't put everything in the DVD. It ended up being like an 8-hour DVD or something.
We need the studio for some.
Yeah, we need this. We need to we have to film the openings part now because we need the studio. Somebody else is coming in soon. And this was like pre-COVID. This was back in 2019. So yeah, this was I actually filmed it in person at the Chess Bay studio in Hamburg in Germany. So that was actually a lot of fun. But yes, the tactics DVD is 8 hours long because I try to cover everything, but I just like there's just so many things, in chess that you can't cover. It's impossible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it is a speed run of the tactics, basically.
So you learn all sorts of tactics, and guys, you can check it out. I have the links in the description. Also, guys, please do check out Nemo's chess channel. Channel on YouTube. It has chess, but it has also some other things over there. I see there's this training Sardoche. How do you pronounce him? Sardosh. Yeah, and becoming the #1 Polish streamer.
Yeah, there's so many random things. Like I'm a variety streamer on Twitch, so I actually really love it when I get to do serious chess content because I think people are not used to me doing serious chess content.
There were a lot of people who said that you should come once again some point on Chess Base India. They enjoyed your what you taught today, and also I was very much, this is actually a very deep opening analysis that we did, and it was great fun. I mean, people learned a lot from this.
Yeah, I really hope that everybody enjoyed. Thank you so much for having me.